Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Rose Tarot and Astrology. I'm your host, Mel Rose, and today is Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. Thank you for being here. Thanks for spending this time with me, and thank you for checking in on your regular current astrology. As you know, as above, so below. If we can get an inkling, an idea, a hint, or a clue as to what kind of universal energies are at play in the world, then we have an inkling, a hint, and a clue as to what kind of energies are at play in our own lives as we are a part of the universe. And with that information, we may be able to better navigate our lives going forward, or at least just be aware of the fact when obstacles are arising, or when surprises are happening, or when opportunities are in our path. Having that information sure helps me sort of navigate better, and I hope that it helps you as well. And I hope that wherever you are in the world this morning, it's November 6th, so it's the day after the American election, the United States election, and I hope that you're feeling happy as you can be, and well and loved and blessed and whole and supported wherever you are in the world. I feel pretty happy and well and loved and blessed and whole and supported here in Lee Summit, Missouri. I am going to get a little political for a moment. I am really happy that the abortion amendment passed in Missouri. So in Missouri now, women have the right to make their own choices about their health and well-being. And that's very positive, and it makes me feel hopeful and optimistic for our ability to heal and grow as a community. At the same time, my state and the entire United States seems to have reelected Donald Trump for president. And I can't tell you the dizzying and sickening effect that has on me. So at a time like this, it can be particularly challenging to keep an optimistic and hopeful spirit. And I've been working on myself all morning since I woke up to find this out. I am very disappointed to see that half of us, at least, voted for this person who is, apparently just, obviously just not a decent, ethical, kind, or caring human being. So, let alone a competent leader, I don't see him as any of those things. And so it's disappointing to think of him being in charge again for another 4 years. Found that last 4 years with him pretty harrowing. So I don't know what that means for us in the future, except that, the first impulse is to kind of like get out, to go away. Like if I could go spend 3 months in the south of France right now, go explore Athens, Greece or something, I would be so happy just to get the heck out of here for a minute. I do live in a red state, so I am surrounded by people who voted both to uphold women's right to make decisions about their health care, and to install somebody who's who's a sexual assaulter in the highest office in the land. So it's really mind blowing to me, and it does make me feel. It sort of kicks in my flight or fight, makes me want to fly away. But it also, puts me in mind of the fact that although I don't see a lot of representation for myself personally on the local, state, or federal levels, that doesn't mean that this isn't my home. This is where I come from, and this is, the government that governs me. So that I'm a part of. This is the culture and the society that I'm a part of, and that's the fighting instinct kicks in and says, no, this is me too. This is mine as well. So whatever it is that we're doing here with our grand American experiment, I'm a part of it as well, and I'm going to continue to stand up and speak up and fight for what it is that's important to me and people just like me all over this country that do not see the representation that we should be able to see for ourselves in government. Okay, so that's how I feel about it, and that's where we're at. Uh, you know, as far as I can tell. But so I've been, like I said, thinking about this all morning, trying to get my mind right around it, right? Because I am a naturally optimistic person, and I always want to act in the direction of optimism and hope and growth and healing. And if anything, this presents itself, as my mother would say, as another effing opportunity for growth, right? So, as I was reflecting this morning on this opportunity for growth, I was doing some card reading, and I often do some actual reading as well. And I came up across this line that says, any path that leads astray shows us how to find a better way. So it just puts me in mind that, this idea of having this person in charge for whatever good reasons people think they have to have voted this person into office. Um, it must be something that we're not done learning about. It must be a reality that we're not done dealing with. We cannot put it behind us just yet. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a positive direction to go from here. Okay. Uh, so I came here today actually to talk to you about some astrology that is a little more long term and gives a little more optimistic view of things. I wasn't actually thinking of it in terms of being the day after the election in the United States for this to come up, and so uh, you know, um, I I want to have this conversation about this really optimistic set of opportunities that we have ahead of us, and I just want to say, I'm not Pollyanna positive about things at all. I'm not the kind of person who just says, oh, well, forget it. It's no big deal that this sort of irresponsible and corrupt person is the primary representation of the nation that I live in. It's probably appropriate anyway. Um, yeah, my feelings are deep about this, guys. So, so you know, what I'm saying is that I'm not Pollyanna positive, like it's no big deal, everything is going to be okay, it's all going to work out. I am really very much in a mode of knowing that we have work to do, but that we also have uh, astrology on our side, and not just astrology, but just sort of the story is not yet completely told. Okay, we know that there is a future, and we know that in the future things can and will and do get better because we work for it, because we fight for it, because we take the opportunity when the path has led us astray to backtrack and learn a better way to move forward, right? So uh, that's about where we are right now, right? It's time to reflect. Sun in Scorpio. It's time to ask ourselves if the way we're behaving at work, in our social lives, and in our civic lives is an honest reflection of who we are in our hearts. Okay, authenticity, being real is so important during Scorpio season because, traditionally, this is where we start to really acknowledge that the winter is coming. And the winter might be hard, especially if we didn't gather enough food with the harvest. We have to look at the coming weeks and months as though they are a little bit dangerous for us, just in terms of our own bodily health and well-being. And so it's important in that context to be real with ourselves and to be honest with the people around us as well about who we are and what we desire and what it is we're trying to create in the world. And then the moon is in Capricorn today, and it's a waxing crescent, so we're thinking about what we're going to do next. That's the waxing crescent. And and Capricorn is we need mountains to climb and problems to solve. So I woke up this morning seeing some mountains to climb and some problems to solve. And, I'm pretty sure that I can't climb those mountains on my own or solve those problems on my own. It puts me in mind of all those people that climb Mount Everest, every year. It's funny because it's supposed to be this singular achievement, like I climbed the mountain and I made it to the top. And it is, in a way, a singular achievement, but you also didn't do that without like a whole litany of people who paved that way for you and who make it possible for you to climb that mountain. So that's the thing that I want to keep in mind, is that nothing that we do is really an individual thing. The things that we do on our own we can be proud of, but we always have a line of people to thank for our ability to do that. So yes, context. The context is challenging right now. Mars is opposite Pluto in the final degrees of Cancer and Capricorn there. So big trouble is shaking up the whole world. It's not just happening here in the United States. There is a lot of aggression. There is a lot of conflict. There are a lot of literal things being turned inside out, literal institutions, but also literal buildings, literal like creations of human beings being just sort of torn apart at this time and rendered useless. And that can be very upsetting to see that level of aggression in the world. Venus is opposite Jupiter, Mars is opposite Pluto. So Venus opposite Jupiter, this is a very overdoing, overcommitting kind of vibe. And with that Mars opposite Pluto, I'm getting a lot of overreaction as well. So it is a tough time. It is very tempting to get up and scream and shout and punch and kick and bite and whatever it is that we have to do, to sort of, each of us has to do to sort of have the world that we want to live in. But maybe we don't really want to live in a world where we have to scream and scratch and kick and bite. So there's this opportunity being given us right now on a larger scale that is way more positive than that tendency that we have to overdo it. And I talked a little bit about this on Monday, where we can feel the impulse to overreact, or we can feel the impulse to get really aggressive or assertive about something. And we can notice that in the past, perhaps behaving in this way has made things harder for us, harder for the people around us. And so we back off from it. Okay, we take the opportunity, because we see what's happening, to do a more responsible thing, to do a more grounded thing, to do a more a thing that's better for our own sense of stability and safety in the world. Okay, and that's Sun trine Saturn came in on Monday, is going to be with us for a little bit. That's very positive, but it's like seeing the benefits of doing the responsible thing, seeing the benefits of seeing a limit to the way I'm going to act out in the world. Okay, and if I observe a proper limitation, and I'm not here to tell you what the proper limitation is, okay, but if you observe proper boundaries and limitations, then it is possible that you will see something positive come from that. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. In the larger context, okay, I want to talk to you about this worldwide, culture-wide shift that is happening over the next couple of years. And I want to talk about that for a moment, because it is a larger context to the transit we're here to discuss today, which is Jupiter sextile to Chiron, will be with us on and off through June of next year. But the larger context of that is, okay, Pluto this month is moving on into Aquarius for the last time in our lives. It's spending its final days in Capricorn, okay? And Pluto in Capricorn has been just turning inside out our institutions, our things that we thought would last forever, creations of human beings, especially that were meant to stand the test of time. Many of them have not over the last 20 or 30 years with Pluto and Capricorn. And that's what happens there. So Pluto's transit in Capricorn is almost over, and the people who are alive now will never see Pluto transit Capricorn again. It's moving on into Aquarius, and that's a whole different vibe, okay? Capricorn is Earth, and Pluto turns things inside out. So it's really turning Earth inside out, turning material things, structural things, supportive things inside out. And we're getting away from that, okay? And I really liken it almost to like a punishment mindset, like getting what we think we deserve, or not getting what we think what we deserve, but getting sort of torn up or turned inside out, over things that we didn't manage well, or over things that we weren't aware of, okay? That we didn't bring enough awareness to the situation. And so, we kind of got torn up for it, okay? But what is happening now is Pluto is shifting into Aquarius. And this is going to be more about turning our mindset inside out, going through not just one, but several complete and radical shifts in terms of how we think about the world and our place in it, and our place in culture, in society. Aquarius wants to be the rising tide that lifts all boats. And so, it's very much fixed on creating systems of support that allow us all to have an equitable chance at living, happy, fulfilled lives. So that's a very positive shift that is happening right now. But that transit of Pluto through Aquarius is going to be in place until 2043. Okay, so it's almost another 20 years that it will be in Aquarius, and that's what we're going to spend the next 20 years focusing on, instead of having our old institutions and our old ways of being sort of disrupted and torn apart, and like being told, find a different way to do that, right? Now we get to get into the era of finding a different way to do that, of changing our minds about what works for us, because I really think, and I really hope that what we're going to find is that what works for us is for everybody to have what they need, for everybody to be represented and included. Okay, so that's part of the larger context, but it's not just Pluto. Over the next 2 years, our outer planets are all shifting out of the signs that they have been in and into signs that they're going to be in. And this happens from time to time. They have very slow orbits. And so, Pluto moves every 20 or so years. Neptune moves every, 9 or so years. And, it gets a little bit shorter from there. But these are all planets, Saturn being the one, the quickest one, that spends 3 years in a sign at a time. So they're all shifting into new signs. And it's not just that Pluto and Neptune and Uranus and Saturn are all shifting into new signs. They're doing it in this very short space of time between this month and February of 2026. We are going to see all of these planets shift into new signs. And where they have been has been in earth signs and in water signs. And earth and water, they work well together. They help us create material things that we feel something for, right? It's very creative vibe in that way, but they're all shifting out of earth and water and into air and fire. And specifically, the ones that are going into fire, Neptune and Saturn, are going into Aries together. Okay, so this is a complete fresh start in terms, for Saturn, in terms of our foundations, in terms of the things that we rely on it for support, the networks, and also for the institutions that we rely on for support. This is the springtime. This is going to be the springtime of responsibility and accountability for us, starting in May of 2025-ish, but finally moving into Aries completely by February of 26. So that's Saturn moving out of Pisces into Aries, and Uranus is moving out of Taurus into Gemini. So it's going to stop shaking up the stuff and things that we rely on for comfort and support, and it's going to start shaking up the way we communicate with people, the way we collaborate, the way we do discovery. And it's going to be a much more shared vibe. It's going to be much more collaborative. It's going to be much more like people are going to surprise us in really delightful ways, hopefully, and we're going to have some very interesting conversations over the course of several years there. Neptune is moving into Aries. This is going to be like a fresh start in our creative life as a culture, The music is going to become new. The way we do things artistically is going to become new, and it's going to come with a sort of fire and passion and initiative for something brand new to be coming about in the world. So that is the larger context between now and 2027. We are shifting out of an earth and water mode on the cultural level, okay, on the broader worldwide level for everybody. These big planets with these slow transits, they impact people on a collective level more so than on an individual level. So the collective level, the impact on the collective level is going to be a shift from creating things out of earth and water, creating things out of clay, making stuff that we hope will stay together, and into more of a fire and air mode of creation, which is about taking action on what you know, taking action on what you know to be true, on what you know will work. Okay, and that might even be kind of unimaginable to some of us at this point, but it is going to become imaginable over the next couple of years. So I want to give you that. I really think that I really have optimism for the next couple of years. The shift may not be always fun. I'm not having fun right now. The shift may not always be fun. It might be very challenging to go through this shift. And really, never before in history that I know of have all of these outer planets shifted at the same time, basically at the same time, into their next signs. And so usually they're pretty scattered, and it'll happen a year here, and then a couple years later over here, and then a couple years later over here. But this is all happening really in the space of 24 months, 25 months. So on a larger scale, if you look at time on a much larger scale than just the way we see it moment to moment, then you can realize that that's practically all happening at the same time. In the next couple of years are going to be a little wild and woolly, but we're going to get some really good ideas. We're going to really learn how to collaborate with one another in new and surprising ways. And that is the context set up for the conversation I came here to have with you today about Jupiter sextile Chiron. Okay, so Jupiter is sextile to Chiron right now. It will be through the 2nd of January, and then that sextile is going to come back and repeat for us next year between April and June. So I just want to give you a heads up on that, because it's this really positive underlying influence, again, between these kind of larger planets. Jupiter is the one that's in the middle between being a personal planet and an outer planet. It sort of connects us to the greater world. It puts us in our place in culture, or at least asks us to imagine a good place for ourselves in the broader context of life. And so Jupiter in this cooperative relationship with Chiron, which is about solving long-standing problems. It's about healing from wounds that are not necessarily easy to heal from, right? It's about learning how to put things behind us, learning how to let down our guard when we realize that the thing that happened before is not going to happen again, right? So Jupiter sextile Chiron over the next few months through January. So over the next month or so through January, and then next year between April and June, maybe feeling a little more optimistic that our problems can be solved with our participation, right? So there's a sextile in there. There's Jupiter, there's Chiron, and then there's sextile. And I don't know if you know, sextile looks like a wheel. It's like 3 lines crisscrossing, and it makes a little wheel. And so it sort of gives you that impression of things rolling forward, of activity. And what it asks is for you to get involved, to get engaged, to be active in the pursuit of solving those problems, healing those wounds, okay? And if you are active in the pursuit of healing those wounds and solving those problems, then Jupiter is going to come and meet you with good fortune. It's going to say, hey, you're doing great. I'm here to give you a little boost. I'm here to give you a bigger, better idea, sense of what you can be, do, and have in the world, okay? So optimism comes in by acting on the things that we want to resolve. So with that said, I just want to hit a few notes about this Jupiter sextile Chiron transit that is happening, because it is going to have sort of an underlying influence in our lives. It is going to have us thinking about our opportunities for growth and healing as we move forward, and feeling optimistic. I really want to encourage you to. I know it can be hard at a time like this, but I really want to encourage you to feel optimistic about the future, and to really, Moon in Capricorn, be thinking about what you're going to do. Be thinking about how you're going to climb the mountain to getting where you want to be, to having things the way you'd like to have them be. Okay, not just in your individual life, not just in your private life at home, but in the world. How do we make this world comfortable for ourselves, and for others? How do we make it work for all of us? That's what's going to be sort of the order of the day. And first, we have to figure out how we make it work for ourselves, how we can do better to let go of old hurts, to forgive the trespasses of others. Right. This is really very much a time where we're looking for reasons to have compassion, where we're looking for reasons to try to forgive, where we're looking for reasons to feel optimistic and have faith in ourselves and in humanity, that this is not going to be the way things are today, is not the way things are going to be in the future. Okay. So this is a really good time while Jupiter is sextile to Chiron. That's between now and say June 22nd, I think, of 2025, to see positive results from changes you make in your health practices. So, if you're going to start some chair yoga, or if you're going to go out and get a walk every day, or if you're going to, avail yourself of some kind of therapy or activity that allows you to get better, to feel better, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, all of it matters. Okay. It's a good time to make changes that reflect your optimism about your ability to heal and see positive results from them. It's also a good time for opening our hearts and minds to different modes of belief and healing. It's a good time to sort of investigate what other people believe, how other people approach life philosophically and spiritually, but it's also a good time to open ourselves up to alternative modes of therapy and healing. And there are so many different kinds of therapy, so many different kinds of healing to go for in the world. If you're just, if you're putting it off because you don't understand it or you don't know it, acupuncture, blah, massage, blah, Reiki, blah, I don't know, I don't understand, and so I'm not going to try it. It's a really good time to just sort of open your mind and your heart and say, this, I don't know how this can help me, but it clearly helps people, so I'm going to give it a try. Okay. Whatever it is that's sort of like nagging at you to try it, it might be a good time to think about trying it. This is a good time for remembering to put the things that we discover about healing, the things that we discover about our growth, in the context of our larger story. Right? It's not just what's happening right now. It's not just what's happened over the last several weeks, months, and years. It is really, we want to take a look at the arc of our whole story. And when we do that, when we put these discoveries in the context of a larger journey, then we can see the progress and the growth that we have made for ourselves in this lifetime. Okay. It's a good time to trust yourself. Okay. This is a time when we are learning to trust ourselves. And who was it that described that? Who was it that described that? I saw somebody describe that on the tube the other day, and it was really like, learning to trust myself was a kind of a long process. And at first, I really didn't trust myself at all. So if I had an intuition, or if I thought I should do something a certain way, I would start small and I would do something differently, on a small level that was hard for other people to notice, so I wouldn't be embarrassed, right? And then when I trusted myself and it worked out, that gave me more faith in myself, and I was able to trust myself with something bigger the next time. So learning to trust yourself has to do, with taking sometimes baby steps toward that trust, right? Toward listening to yourself, hearing what your conscience is saying to you, and really taking action on it. with a little bit of optimism and hope. And then when you see that it works out for you, or you see what didn't work out and what did work out, right? Then you can, then you have a little more faith in yourself. You realize that you do have the tools that you need to solve your problems. Okay. Also, it's a good time for sharing our experience, our growth, our strategies for coping and maintaining optimism in the world with others. Okay. If you have figured out how to solve a problem for yourself, please share it with the rest of us. Okay. If you have figured out how to heal from a certain kind of wound, of course, everybody's healing is going to be a little bit different. Certain things are not going to work for every person. It's not a one size fit all kind of thing. But if you have found a way to heal from something that was hard, from something that was damaging, from something that was holding you back, please share it with the rest of the class. Okay, let us know what your experience is with that. And then the last point I want to hit about this Jupiter sextile Chiron transit that is happening between now and basically June of next year, is that this is a good time for finding ways to manage our insecurity by practicing compassion and learning how to accept things as they are. And, I started this video talking about, something that I find very hard to accept about the world. And I still find it very hard to accept about the world. And so it's really not easy to practice acceptance of things as they are when it's not going the way that you would like to see it go, when you feel, sort of like betrayed by your culture, betrayed by your society, betrayed by the people the literal community that you rely on for support. Not that it was ever their intention to betray, but that you feel that way. That's part of accepting what is like, okay, this is what happened. This is the reality. And this is how I feel about it too. Accept yourself for feeling the way you feel about it. I would love to have woken up this morning and felt very happy about the presidential election in the United States, no matter who had won, right? But that is not the case. And so, I have to accept that this is the reality. And I have to also be accepting and compassionate of myself that this is how I feel about it, that I'm not very happy about it, that I find this whole situation rather upsetting, that I find that, I find myself in a fight or flight sort of mode where I want to either run away or sort of stand up and duke it out. And neither of those things is going to work for me right now. Okay. So, I have compassion for myself in that, but I also have to, accept that, people didn't vote the way that I would have liked to see them vote. And, I can be accepting of that, that they have their own reasons, that they have their own mindset that makes them think that it's more important, that something that this person has to offer is more important than, as far as I'm concerned, having a person with integrity in that office. So, managing our insecurity, like it's hard to feel secure in a culture. I live in a red state. It's hard to feel secure in a culture where people literally vote against my best interest and don't believe that my best interest is my best interest, or just don't care about it as long as they get what they want, right? So it's hard to feel secure, but managing that insecurity, part of managing that insecurity is accepting that this is the reality and having compassion for myself and having compassion for others. Like, I rarely go with a Christian a Christian example, but it's like Jesus on the cross. Not that I am Jesus on the cross, okay, but it's like Jesus on the cross saying, "Forgive them, Lord; they know not what they do." Right? We have to be forgiving of people who act out of ignorance. We have to be forgiving of people who just act based on things that don't occur to us, or that aren't important to us, or like it never would have occurred to me to think about it that way. So having compassion for the fact that everybody's living their own life, and we are all just trying to get along and do our best, and we have different ideas about how best to move forward. We have different ideas about what we want from leadership, and so being in an acceptance of that, and again, having compassion for people who think differently from us, and having compassion for ourselves when we feel tired or angry or upset or in resistance to things. Okay, being accepting of the fact that, like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want this to be the truth, right? And then having compassion for myself, because that doesn't make me less worthy. It doesn't mean that my dreams, my goals, and my aspirations for myself or for culture in general are any less important or any less realizable. Okay. So that's my rant for this morning. Heaven knows how long I've kept you. If you made it this far, thank you so much for being here. Do leave a comment down below and let me know how you're doing. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already, it really helps me out a lot. So I will be here on Friday to talk more astrology with you. It probably will not be so in-depth and full of my opinions about the world at large, but maybe it will be. I don't know. Maybe I'm just changing the way I do things right now and going to speak my mind a little more clearly. We'll see how it happens. Okay. But I'll be here on Friday to talk to you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next episode.